In a hotel kitchen during the dinner rush, a supervisor rips a coughing dishwasher's mask off and knocks his water to the floor. A night auditor hears the shouting from the front desk, steps into the dish pit, and takes over the station at the cost of his job security. The act leads to quiet shifts in the hotel's routines and a small earned sense of dignity for the dishwasher. Before we get started, tap like, share, and subscribe to join the journey. And tell me, where in the world are you watching? Drop your country below. I love seeing the global trail of these stories. The cup hit the tiles and water sprayed under the dish machine. The dishwasher flinched, hands still shaking from the cough, and reached for paper towels that were already soggy. He yanked the mask off the man's face. "You want to cough? Do it on your own time," the supervisor said, voice flat but sharp enough to cut through steam. The sprayer hose slapped a metal pan, spraying back at the older man's chest. A line cook stared, frozen with a tray of ramekins in her hands. From the front desk, the night auditor heard the shout over the fan. He was counting the petty cash box, stacking bills that smelled faintly like lemon cleaner. He had just cleared a bus of tourists and could still feel the echo of their voices in the marble lobby. His probation slip sat folded in his pocket, paper soft with worry. Last month's overbooking had landed him there, neat blue ink spelling out final warning like a brand. Medicare paperwork for his mother waited on his kitchen table at home. He needed his hours and his health insurance. He needed quiet. Another cough rattled through the vent, wet and desperate. He pushed through the swinging door and grabbed the yellow mop. Hot air hit his face, a mix of bleach and garlic and wet cardboard. The floor gleamed with fresh water. He planted the mop between the supervisor and the man like a cheap fence. "He needs air," he said. "I'll take this station." He didn't shout. He didn't smile. He placed his body where the older man had been standing. The supervisor blinked, then found his volume. "Get out. You don't tell my staff anything." He jabbed a finger toward the dish pit. "He clocks out now. No pay." He took off his lanyard and set it on the prep table. The plastic badge left a wet circle. "Then he's done for the night. And I'm on dishes. Put 4 hours sick on him. Write me up." He looked at the man. "Get your bag. Go outside. Breathe." For a second, the kitchen paused. Steam hung without moving. A pan hissed. Someone turned down a burner. The line cook slid past with her tray low. "You can't do that," the supervisor said, but it came out softer. He looked around to see who was watching. Everyone was. He folded his arms over his stained jacket. "You step in here and you finish all of it." "I will," the night auditor said. He nodded toward the older man who had one hand on his chest. Security showed up. One man with a kind face and a radio. He took in the lanyard on the table, the mop, the supervisor's flushed cheeks. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, keeping his voice low. "He's done," the supervisor said, pointing at the night auditor. "He just quit, I think." "Give me 20 minutes, the night auditor said to the guard without looking up. He had already stepped into the dish pit. Water soaked his pants at the shins. "Or call the GM now." The guard scratched his jaw, then stepped back toward the swinging door like he was guarding it. "I'll be over there if anyone needs me," he said, which was an answer. He pulled on the rubber apron and stepped into the steam. The sprayer hissed like a bad mood. He grabbed a metal pan and let water hammer off baked cheese. His shirt clung to his back. He moved fast. Rinse, rack, slide, return. The older man was still there, trembling in the doorway, looking small in his gray apron. The night auditor nodded once. "Outside," he said, not unkind. The man went as if permission weighed nothing and everything. The supervisor hovered. He barked a few orders down the line, louder than need, then stood with his arms rigid. He watched the clock. He watched the doorway. He watched the night auditor's hands on the sprayer. He didn't see the front desk line grow. The desk was out of sight, sure. But the night auditor did. He knew the sound of suitcases rolling over stone, the little cough of the printer spitting keys. He heard none of it now. He heard plates. He heard his own breath. He filled the racks until the backlog was gone. He wiped the edges of the dish pit with a rag that smelled like bleach and oranges. His tie hung limp, flecked with suds. When the stream slowed and the line cook said plates again, he peeled off the apron. He picked up his lanyard but didn't put it on. He walked through the hall, past the elevator bank, humming with no people, and out to the back. Outside by the loading dock, night air cut clean as ice. The older man leaned against a stack of milk crates, head down. His cough had settled into a whisper in his chest. The night auditor draped his suit jacket over the man's shoulders. It didn't fit, but it trapped some heat. He held out a small bottle of water from the vending machine. "Sip," he said. He placed 2 cough drops in the man's palm. The man's fingers were rough and cold. He swallowed and nodded. His eyes were glossy, not from tears, just a kind of wind. "Gracias," he said. "Or maybe it was just the shape of air." "There's a clinic on 8th that stays open late," the night auditor said. He kept his voice simple. "I'll call a car." He pulled out his phone and ordered a ride to the urgent care down the street. He clicked the little box to prepay and added a tip. He wrote the word "You are gent care" on a sticky note and stuck it to the man's sleeve, stupid and bright. In the man's backpack, there was a small blue inhaler with a cracked label. A bus schedule was folded into quarters, a circle drawn around Thursday, 7:09 p.m., free clinic. A wrinkled flyer for overtime sign up, and a long line crossing out his name. The night auditor put everything back exactly as he'd found it. "Got your inhaler?" he asked. The man tapped his chest pocket. "Almost empty," he said, voice thin. They stood like that for a minute, under the buzzing light and the smell of damp cardboard. The ride pulled up, headlights washing the alley in white. "I'll be back," the man said into his scarf, more to the building than to a person. The night auditor opened the car door and helped him in. He closed it gently. He watched the tail lights disappear past the trash compactor and the 2 crooked palms at the edge of the lot. He walked back inside, jacketless, hair damp and sticking up. The supervisor was at the ice machine, watching everything without looking at anyone. "You need to clean the drain," he said, as if nothing had happened. "And you can pick up your things at HR tomorrow." "Okay," the night auditor said. He took the bleach bucket and poured it slow. He didn't look up. Back at the front desk, the line had thinned. A co-worker in a black vest handed him a printout. "He called the GM," she murmured. Her eyes flicked toward the cameras. "They want you in at 10 for a meeting." He nodded. He wiped his hands on a towel that wasn't meant for that. He greeted a guest with a voice he had to locate somewhere under his ribs. He worked the rest of the night, feeling the space where his jacket should have been. A week later, a metal water dispenser appeared by the dish pit. No one announced it. It just sat there with condensation shining like tiny silver scales. A stack of clear plastic cups waited next to it. The supervisor started keeping plastic cups near the sprayer. He still shouted sometimes, but on Tuesday he pressed a cup into a new kid's hand and said, "Drink," not loud at all. He looked weird, doing it, like his face wasn't used to the shape of that word. The poster for the hotline went up crooked in the break room. It listed numbers in a font too small to read from the table. The security guard stood by it, eating a cup of instant noodles, eyes soft under the fluorescent hum. The man came back with a doctor's note stapled to a form. He had a new inhaler and a cheap black scarf, looped twice. He worked slower. No one grabbed at his mask. He kept a plastic cup on the shelf above the sprayer, the rim catching a line of steam like a halo no one named. The night auditor had a meeting at 10. He got a formal write-up, final warning, a paragraph about chain of command, and the scope of his role. He nodded. He signed his name. He walked back to his desk and cleared a family reunion block with his usual calm. The world did not change shape, but a few small edges felt different to the touch. He saw the security guard twice by the kitchen door now, posting up the way you lean when you're not sure you're supposed to be there, but you are anyway. The line cook started putting an orange by the time clock each night, and it vanished by morning. Someone taped a printed sign above the dish pit outlet that said, "Careful on this plug," with a smiley face that looked like it was trying. On his next night shift, he noticed a clear plastic cup on a shelf. It had a black marker label on it now. "Water," in letters big enough for anyone. The cup caught a drip off the sprayer arm bead by bead until the rim held a small, perfect curve. He stood there for a second, with printers chattering behind him, and the elevators humming, with a pen he couldn't find, and an email he would answer in a minute. He breathed. He thought about the way a thing can tilt. Not huge. Just enough to stop the cup from falling. Down the hall, the dish machine thumped, steady, like a heartbeat you only hear when you listen hard. He checked the clock. He straightened the stack of maps. Out by the dock, he pictured a car turning under streetlights, a man wrapped in a too-big jacket, air moving easier in his chest. The plastic cup gleamed like a small moon in the steam, and he let the image sit with him as the doors slid open to the next guest.